Hello friends, in this video we will see file permissions. So every file in Linux will have file permission. So depending upon what permission a user has or a group has, they can access the file. Either they can read, write or execute the file. So we have 10 digits representing the permissions of file. The first digit would explain whether it's a folder or a file. If there's a hyphen, it's a file. If there's a D symbol here, it would be directory or the folder. The first 3 digits represents the permissions for the owner of the file, that the user of the file, user who created the file, and the next 3 digits R, W and X represents the permissions for the group users, and next 3 in which are in red color we have given different colors so that we can identify it in a separate color, identify separate group. So the last 3 digits are used for other users who do not belong to either the groups or the owner. So when in the first hyphen tells you that it's a file, if there's a D in place of first hyphen, it's a directory, that's the folder. So to change the permissions of a particular user, a particular group on a file, for example, if for the group you want to change, provide executable information, then you can say G plus X. Or if you want to remove the permissions from a user from a group, you can say G minus X. Then the group users will not be able to execute the file. So similarly, we can give permissions as read and write permissions for the group by G plus W. If you say G minus RW, so read and write permissions are taken back from the user. So we have other users, we can provide a reading permission to the other users. So only the owner of the file can provide access to other users and group members. So we can also directly change the permissions without adding. When you say user group, that is the owner and the group members can read and execute the file. So all other permissions are removed. And similarly, you can say, you can give all the permissions for user and group users, and for everyone you can give read and execute permission on a file name. So we'll see how to give it for a folder later. So we have a number for every value. For R we have 4, for W we have 2, for execute we have 1. So if you want to provide all the permissions for a user, we have to add all the 3, 4 plus 2 plus 1, 7. If you provide 7, the meaning is nothing but RWX, read, write, execute permission will be given to the user or the group or the other person. We can decide providing exactly in the 3 digits. We'll see. When we say 7, so all the permissions will be given. When we say 6, read and write permission will be given. When we say 5, read and execute permission will be given. When we say 4, only read permission will be given to the user. We'll just maximize a little. Okay. So now we can change the permission like this. We can say chmod 764. So 7. So read, write and execution permissions are given to the owner. The owner can read, write and execute. Permission field. The first field is the permission field for the owner. Second field is the permission field for group. The third field is the permission field for others. So second, the group users can only read and write on the file. The other users can only read the file. They cannot write or execute the file. So this way we can provide read permissions, read, write, execute for owner, read and write for group users, and read option for other users. Then we can give 755. In this, read, write, execute permissions are given to owner. So owner can do all the 3 things. Group users can only read and execute And again, other users also read and execute the file. They cannot write they cannot make any changes in the file. They cannot write. So if we have something like this, we have a folder and we have a file inside this. So now there is no write and execute permissions on the folder. For a user, there is no write and execute permission. So only read permission is there. So he will not be able to write and execute the file even if he has a read, write, he has all the permissions on the file, read, write and execute. But he does not have a write permission on the folder. So inside any file you have, any file inside that folder, the user cannot write or execute. Because on the folder he has only write permissions. Read permissions. So both should match. If the user does not have permissions on the folder, he cannot use the same permission. He cannot use the same execution on the file. If he has read permission on folder, he should also have read permission on the file. If he has a write permission on a file, he should also have a write permission on a directory, so that he can write in that file. He cannot create, if he does not have a write permission on the folder, he cannot create a file inside the folder. He cannot write out to any file inside the folder. So both go hand in hand. So here the user has read, write, execute permission, all the permissions, and all the permissions on folder, and no write permission on the file. He does not have a write permission. He does not have a write permission on the file, but he has all the permissions on the folder. He can write to any other file which has write permission in this folder, but he cannot write to this file because he does not have a permission to write in the file. Actually, this hyphen should be a D here. I just given an example of RWX. Don't worry about this hyphen here. So I've just given in general. So we'll see that in example. Don't worry about that. So here we have a read, write, execute permission on file, but we don't have a write permission on the folder. So we cannot write anything inside the folder. We cannot write to any file inside the folder. So both the folder and file should have similar permissions, or at least if the folder has read, write, ex permissions, and you have file as read and write permission, then you can again write on the file. So both here in the folder and file you should have the same write permissions, then you can write. If the folder you have ex permission and executable in file, then you can execute the file. If you have read permission, see, you cannot have only write permission and execute permission, and without the read permission you cannot read this file again. So first you should at least have a read permission first, and then the other option. At least read permission should be there on every file. If there is no read permission, you cannot read, you cannot write the file, you cannot execute anything. Even if you have a write permission on both folder and file, if you don't have a read permission, you cannot do anything to the file. So this way we can use file permissions. We'll see practically how this can be done. So I'll create a directory mkdir permissions, and I'll change the directory to permissions. Currently we don't have any files here. I do ls minus l, I do ls minus a. You can see there the dot means the current directory and dot means the previous directory. So this is the reference to a current directory and the previous directory. So now I'll create some files. I'll create vim hello.txt. I'll say hello. Okay, I need to say insert and say hello. Let's do escape WQ. Don't worry about this. We'll see that in a VI editor video, how to use the VI editor. So now I've created a file here. If I do ls, I can see there's a file. If I do ls minus al, you can see we have the dot as a current directory and dot as a previous directory. Here you can see D. Wherever there's a folder, it shows D. In the first bit, the first digit, it shows a D. So whenever it's a simple file, you can see it shows hyphen here. So again you can see the user is Mac and the group is Mac. So whenever a user creates a file, it will be of his own user group, Mac. So this, by default, it has read and write permissions for the user who created, the owner who created. So he will have, the Mac will have read write permissions. The group members will have read permissions, and others will have read permissions. So we will, how to change the permissions? We see chmod. We'll say both user group and other members. Group and other members plus read and execute. Okay, I'll say hello. Now we do ls minus al. You can see both the users, both the other users and group now has execute permissions, but the owner does not have execute permission. So that to add for owner, you can do u plus x. Now if you do, you can see now the owner has read, write and execute permissions. The group and other people have read and execute permission. So now if you want to remove execute permission from group and others, minus execute. Now you can see we can remove only the execute permissions. Now if we change in a different way, if we say user and group is equal to read and execute. Okay. Chmod. Okay. Here we need to say group. Okay. This way we should not leave a space. You can see the permission for the group is read and execute. For others, I just give execute. So earlier it had a read permission, now only execute permission. You can see it gives only execute permission. It removes all the whatever the previous it was actually read. So now read has been removed and only execute has been given, but the user will not be able to execute because he cannot read the file. So it's very important that you have both read and execute permissions whenever you want to give permissions to anyone for executing a file. So this way you can give read and execute permissions. If you want to remove the permissions for any one group, minus rx. So you can remove the permission. You can see group does not have any permission now. So this way you can change the permission of each file directories. So we will make a directory here. Make directory temp. So now we will do ls minus l. Now you can see this directory has permissions like this 755. So we will also use the permission changing option. We will change the permissions of hello.txt using number mode like 777 or 75. We'll do 755 hello.txt. Now you can see the 755 7 permission given to the user, 5 permission given to the group and 5 permission given to the other users. So 5 is 4 read plus 1 execute. Read plus execute, that is 4 plus 1, it gives 5. So you can give 755 If you give 777, everyone will have, all the group users and others will have execute, read and write permissions. So this is not a preferred choice on a server. No file should be on 777 because anyone can access. It will be a door for hackers. So no file should have a 777 permission on the server. So usually most of the files will be given 755 permission so that only owner can edit the file, change the file, others can read and execute the file. So this is the most commonly used permission, 755. Then to apply permissions on directory, we can say chmod 744 the folder temp. Okay, if I say this, 744 will be applied to the directory. You can see 744 is applied to the directory, but inside the files, inside if you have any files, we'll go to cd mp. I can also create a file here. I can say touch file 1, file 2, so you can see it gets default permission as 644. So now if I go one directory up, cd dot previous directory, if I do chmod 777 on the directory temp, so you can see the directory got 777 permissions. Okay, so if we do ls -l temp directory, inside the temp directory, if we see the files still have 644 permission. If you want to change the permissions for everything, I want to give 755 for all the folder and the for files below it. So all the file subfolders, all the files inside the subfolders, everything. If I want to give 755, I have to say -r. -r is the recursive iteration of the directories, and press enter. So now I do ls-l and check inside the temp directory. You can see all the files are 755. So if I create a directory here, cd temp, and I create a directory mkdir inside temp. I go inside the inside temp folder and create innermost. You can see where we are exactly buying pwd. You can see it's home Mac permissions temp inside temp, cd inner. If I do pwd, you can see the working directory is permissions temp inside temp. I'll show you one by one what the folder has permissions. Now we are in inside temp directory. We do ll or ls-l. It's a bad command not found. We can do alias later for ls-l. Okay, so it has 755 permission. We'll go one directory up, again do ls-l. We can see the directory has 755, the folder has 755, the files also have 755. We'll do one go up. We'll go one directory up, again do ls-l. So we want to change all the folders and subfolders below the temp directory and all the files to 777. We have to say chmod 777 temp directory recursive, that is -r. So all the subfolders and all files will get 777 permission. You can see the temp folder here now has 777 permission. If we go inside the temp file folder and say ls-l, you can see all the files and all the folders are 777. We goes inside we do ls minus l, you can see all the folders, subfolders will change the permission if you use a minus R option. So should be careful. If you are really require all the subfolders to have some permissions, you can use minus R along with the change mod command. Friends, how to change a file to a different group? So if we want to assign a file or a folder to a different group, how do we do that? So I'll go one directory above, again one more directory above. So I'm in home directory. So if I want to see, if you want to open the root directory, so you know Mac user wants to see the root directory. You can see ls minus l. So if we try to mkdir new file in the root folder /root folder, so it says cannot create a directory because we do ll/root, so ls minus l. Okay, we have to do ls minus ld to check the permissions on the directory root. So you can see the root directory has owner is root, the group is root, and others who don't belong to root user don't have right permission. So we cannot create a file or a directory inside the /root directory. So this is the home folder of the super user, that is the root user. So we cannot create a directory or a file inside the root. So we are not able to see the files also inside the root directory whenever we do ls. So no files are visible. So we cannot read any files. You cannot create. If I try to create a file, touch new file, says permission denied. You cannot touch. New file cannot be created. So this depends on permission. If you have permissions, you can do that. So what we'll do, we'll log in as a root user. I logged in as a root user, switch user command. So now if I go to cd/home/mac, root user can create files anywhere you want. Touch new file. So if you see ls minus l, so you can see whatever file created by the root user has a permissions, and even if it's in the same directory, if it is in the Mac's home directory, I'll do Control D to exit as a root user. Now I'm a Mac at Mac desktop. I've logged in as a Mac user. cd/home/mac. Okay. Now if I do ls minus l, you can see the files. So if I try to change any file, this new file, if I do vi, you can see here it says read only file. So even if you try to edit this file, so changing a read only file, and if you try to save it, you cannot save the file. So you have to do escape:*q not. You cannot change the file. So this has read permissions for others. So people can only read the file. So new file can be read by Mac, cannot be edited by Mac. So only root user can edit the file because he has a right permission. So you cannot change the permission of the root user's file. If you want to say change mod 777 on new file, if you try to change the permissions, it says again permission denied. You cannot change the permission of some other user's file. So only root user can do. Root user can change anyone's file, anyone's permission, any one file permissions, any directory permission. Root user has all the rights to do. He can change the group also. We'll see. So if we are now, I've logged in as a root user. I'm under /home/mac directory. Now if I say own. I want to change the group to root. This is the user dot group. Group I can change to Mac, and I'll give the new file. I'll change the user, let it be the owner remains root, but the group is going to change to Mac. So I can change the group of the file. So now you can see I changed the group of the file. So now if I change permissions, chmod group users can write on new file. All the people in the group Mac can write on this. So now I'll log in as a Mac, Control D. So now it's Mac. If I say vi dot new file, insert, I can insert anything and say save the file. And if I display the file, the changes will be there. You can see. So now the file has been put into a group using a chown command. You can see here, chown command is used to change the ownership or the group of a file. I've changed it for a file. If you are doing for a directory, you have to do using within a -R or capital R option to do changes for all the subfolders. So then the owner remains root, and the group belongs to change to Mac of this. Now this file belongs to this group and this owner. So this way we can change the owner of the file. You can change the group of the file, but you should be owner to do anything of the file. You should be the user of the file or the person who created. So if your Mac can change the user, he cannot change the user actually, because he does not have much permission. He can just change the group of the file. If he belongs to some group, he can use that group and send this file to that group. Then all the people in that group can edit that file. So root user can change any username, any file, any group name. So root user has all the permission. So this way we can change the file permissions of a file folder in Linux. So it's a very important topic. If you have permissions on folder and don't have permissions on file, you cannot access the file. You can only read the file if you have read permissions on both. If you don't have execute permission on file, and if you have execute permission on directory, you cannot execute the file. If you don't have execute permission on a directory, and if you have execute permission inside the directory, any file has an execute permission, you cannot execute. You should have both in the directory and inside the folder. Whatever the files you have, they both should match. Then only you can execute the file or write to the file or read the file. Friends, in this video we've learned about file permissions. We'll learn more in the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching this video.